Hello, I'm Jay from Volunteer Audio, and today I'm making a video to talk about equalizers, how to set them up properly in the SoundStream radios, and today specifically the SoundStream Reserve V2. So watch this video. I'm going to show you how to get the loudest, clearest sound while getting the correct tone for the genre that you listen to. All right, so I've got a lot of calls, a lot of questions about proper setting up of the EQ in your SoundStream Reserve V2 radio. I recently made a video on the 24 and up Harleys showing the Skyline OS, showing how to get the loudest, clear sound out of those radios, and many of you watched it. Thank you for following us. But you asked, how can I do this on my SoundStream radio? And it's quite a bit different, so I wanted to take the time to kind of explain this in more detail. So at Volunteer Audio, we build a lot of plug-and-play amp and speaker packages around the SoundStream radios. And part of installing an amplifier and properly setting it is learning where the clean points are in the radio. Now, the SoundStream Reserve V2 is a phenomenal radio, as most of the SoundStream radios are, and it is cleaned to absolute full volume if you follow a couple key things when you're setting up your EQ. So let's look at this. I've got my EQ right now set to flat. So that is at the 0 point all the way across. And I can tell you in our testing, if you set this EQ to 0 all the way across with 3D sound off, and you go all the way to full volume and you test this with an oscilloscope for distortion, it is completely clean. Now the problem is, as I start to go into the positive range at all on this EQ, I'm going to pick up distortion and clipping on the input side of my amplifier, which is going to come out of the amp, amplified up, and we're going to have a lot of distortion going to our speakers. Distortion does blow speakers, especially in the Harley world. We've got to be careful because we know we're going to listen to it very, very loud for a long time as we go on these longer rides. Now, if you go through and you select the presets, the rock, the electronic, the different presets in this radio, you'll notice they all boost things really, really high. They cause a lot of distortion, and they end up actually causing harm to our speakers, and they make it where we don't have the clarity we need at highway speeds. So today I want to show you how you can use the custom EQ to build a bunch of different presets that are going to absolutely help the tone while keeping that clarity even to full volume. So let's go on here to custom. Now, when you go to the custom, you're going to find out on the V2, we have 15 bands of adjustment, and we have 12 decibel positive, 12 decibel negative. Each time we do one notch, we are doing a 2 decibel drop as we drop this up or down. Now, being we know the radio is clean to full volume with everything set at 0, we're going to build our custom EQs below the 0 point. This allows us to go all the way to full volume, get maximum clarity, but yet now we're building that custom EQ to what our ears like. This is an example of what I would call our rock EQ. So we know a lot of our Harley friends, a lot of you guys that ride, you listen to 2 genres more often than anything else. And I don't want to tell you that you don't listen to anything else, but we see overwhelmingly we're told that people listen to 80s rock, classic rock, metal, and then modern country. Those are the 2 we get talked about the most often. Some of you listen to hip hop, some of you listen to contemporary Christian and other genres as well. But I'll tell you, if you listen to those older recordings, what we would call classical recordings or classic rock, you need to actually keep the bass up because the recordings didn't have a lot of bass. We also need to drop the treble down because they had a ton of treble, and the louder we get while we're going down the highway, the more our ears are overwhelmed with treble and wind noise because that wind is in those same treble band frequencies. As we get overwhelmed with treble, we don't hear as much bass. So if we're listening to that older classic rock recording, those 80s hair bands where they did a lot of guitar solos on that little string or used a lot of cymbals, we want to try to limit that. So you'll see in this EQ that I have here, we've come across in that mid bass range, we want to keep it high. As we got into the vocal range, we dropped it slightly just to accentuate that bass. And as we got into that cymbal and that lower guitar string range, we've lowered it several more decibel to take away that ear-piercingly high range that we get at highway speeds while still keeping that fullness of tone. So this is my example for rock. Let me change this to my country example and we'll talk about that. All right, so I've got my custom EQ set now for what I would say is our country for modern music. Now, I don't expect you to watch this video to remember all of this and then go to your bike and just magically you're going to build these custom EQs. So at Volunteer Audio, at our website, volunteeraudio.com, under the Install Help section, you will see we now have a new document. It's a PDF that you can click on and view on your computer, download to your phone, that's going to have all of these easily labeled for each genre of music. Now I want you to try several of them because we're all different. Our ears are different. What we've done to damage our hearing is different. So try several of these custom EQs, find what sounds best with what you normally listen to, and then I hope you love the way your system sounds while you're riding. So go there, look at that document, but now I'm going to show you the country one, try to explain a little bit more about what we've done. So this is what we would call our country EQ. Now with most country, it's more modern. It was post-CD. It was recorded with more bass. It was also recorded with more treble. They've gotten very poppy in the way it sounds that it is almost like the DJ has mixed it in a club. They've really accentuated some of the things we like, more bass and more treble. Again, while going down the road though, at highway speeds, our ears get overwhelmed with wind noise, and that treble can still yet be a little too much. So this one's going to go quite a bit further across with our bass, keeping it up, but it's also going to keep that mid up a little longer, and we're not going to go nearly as steep of a drop in the treble as we did on our rock EQ. And you're going to find with most modern country songs, this is going to give you a really, really great sound and tone. Now, if you ever want the absolute just loudest you can get with the most clarity, we're going to go completely flat. But we know not everybody's ears love a flat EQ. We actually prefer a little more bass and a little more treble. But with this modern recording, we already have more bass and more treble, so we're just trying to not let our ears get overwhelmed with that wind and the treble combined. So let's move over and let's do I'm going to move into a metal style because metal's got a lot more treble. There's some different things we need to do. Let me show you that EQ. All right, so when you look at our different EQs that we have in our document, rock is really designed for some of your modern rock, but majorly classic rock. As you get into heavier rock, or what some people would call metal, we're going to get into different instruments. We're going to get a lot more electric guitar, a lot more cymbals and top hats. We're going to get a lot more of those drum solos, and we even get into the point that a lot of times the guys are going to start screaming, which is going to make them a little bit more high-pitched. So this EQ is going to look a little different. We're going to try to accentuate those drum notes on those lower bass notes. We're also going to still yet have really good bass guitar, but when we get kind of into maybe that growling range of the vocals, we're going to cut it back just a little bit. We're going to accentuate that 1K range, which is going to get us good vocals, but as we get into the higher range of the vocals, into the screaming, we're going to limit that treble from those. We're also going to limit treble again as we get into those additional cymbals. And you're going to find out that these EQs can make a big difference in how clear this genre of music sounds when we're playing it extremely loud. And the idea is we want to be able to play our audio so loud we can't hear ourselves talk and we can't hear other people, but it's still crystal clear. It's mind-blowing when you have an amazing system set up right, just how amazing that sound is. Now, I'm going to move on and we're going to show you our hip-hop setting next, but I also want to talk about earplugs, and this is going to sound crazy. Why would the guy selling me audio also want me to wear earplugs? If you'll use a set of high-fidelity earplugs that are meant for listening to music at concerts and wear those when you ride, you're going to find out that it lowers that wind noise significantly. By doing so, you're going to protect your hearing and you're not going to have that ear fatigue at the end of the ride, but your music is going to sound better than it ever has. You're going to get better mid-range, better vocals, and you're not going to have that overwhelming treble from that wind noise. And I really suggest they're cheap. Try it out. If you don't like them, throw them away. But I'm going to tell you, it's well worth protecting our hearing, because as much as I love music and I'm passionate about it, I want you to still be able to hear it years and years from now. So a good set of earplugs is going to make your music sound better now. And those high fidelity earplugs are not like those cheap foam earplugs. They're not going to cut the sound off. They're just going to cut it back enough that you still hear and you don't have damage from those overwhelmingly large amount of exhaust and wind noise while you're riding. All right, we're going to move on to the hip hop one next. Let me get that adjusted here and show you that. All right, so now I've loaded in what I would call our hip hop EQ. With hip hop, it has a lot of bass, and so we're going to leave that at the 0 mark because we know that bass is going to be clear at full volume. As we come across, though, again, we're going to limit a little bit in the vocals to accentuate that bass. The higher range of the vocals is going to drop a little more, and we're also going to cut the treble back a little bit. Now, in Harley style speakers, this is a great EQ because most of the speakers developed for Harley use have very bright high range. You got a lot of treble because we know we need that for clarity at highway speeds. This EQ is going to give you the bass that you expect out of that hip hop song, but it's going to stay within the realm of what your 6x9s, your 6.5s, your 8 inches can do without distorting and blowing those speakers up. I love this radio. I love the way it functions to clarity, and I've never had a radio that sounded better. But we have to know what to do with this EQ, because I could boost all these way too high and make it sound terrible. This setup is crucial. Volunteer Audio, we love what we do, and we want to make sure you're happy with your system. And I hope this video series is helping you to understand a little bit more about the EQ and what we're doing. Now, when I made that Skyline OS video, if some of y'all watched that, we actually boosted those EQ bands all the way up to their maximum, because on the Skyline, in the background, you can't see it, all the way up is 0. I actually do some live sound. I help with the media at our church. And when you're on these live boards, you'll realize all the way up with your sliders is normally 0. Everything's adjusted at 0 to its maximum clarity. And then you pull back what you have too much of. And that's an example of what we've shown here. We're always wanting to leave what we want the most of at 0 and start pulling back anything that we actually have too much of to accentuate that. This is going to give us better sound, better clarity, a better riding experience. And let's face it, what we want to do is we want to get out, we want to have a good time, we want to enjoy ourselves. And if that music is enjoyable to listen to, your whole ride is going to be better. All right, thank you for watching Volunteer Audio. If you don't have a SoundStream Reserve V2 radio, I would recommend it. It's the best radio on the market, and I think all the other features it does are remarkable. It's amazing with the wireless headsets, the bigger display, and the wireless connectivity we have to our phones. So that whole SoundStream lineup is great. And if, depending on the year of bike you have, whether it's a 1998 all the way up to the 2023 models, we've got a radio specifically for your bike at volunteeraudio.com. If you have questions about getting the right radio, the right amplifier, the right speakers, you need help with that, your bike, your build, your budget, give us a call at 1-844-30-AUDIO. Talk to our knowledgeable sales staff. We'd be very happy to discuss with you what would be the best option for you. We want to make sure you get the right components the first time, because that's always the cheapest way to build your system. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Volunteer Audio on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook for the latest in Harley audio and accessories. We're going to show you new products as they come out. But sometimes we're going to show you how to use products maybe you've already got, just to make sure you get a better overall experience. So we're going to show you install videos, use videos, and new product videos. You want to be the first to know about it. You definitely want to follow us. Like this video. By doing so, it's going to move us up in search results. It helps us, and we appreciate that. And comment below. Let me know what you think about the radio, about what we discussed today. Let me know if it enlightened you or helped you any. That's what this is about. We want to encourage you to make your system sound even better. If you got a system from Volunteer Audio and you love it, comment below. Let us know about it. And if you need any help with setup, we have amazing tech support at 1-844-30-AUDIO as well. So we help you with your installation, but we also help you with use afterwards. Check out the other videos we've made about this radio, and also join our group on Facebook. We have the SoundStream Reserve V2 users group. Thousands of you have joined that group. It's a great resource to ask others about their use and what they do with their radio, but it's also where we post software updates and videos like this to make sure that you understand the most about your new purchase. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.